Hello, this is Dr. Janice Our Love, and thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. Have you ever started making changes or desired to make changes in your life, but you either let fear stop you, or you procrastinated, or you just ended up talking about what you were going to do and not making any changes? Well, join me today with our guest, Dr. Evelyn Hill, as she talks about how to move from talk to action. Join me. And don't forget to subscribe. So, tonight we have Dr. Evelyn Hill, and we're going to be talking about from talk to action. But let me tell you a little bit about my guest. Now, if I really read her entire bio, we wouldn't have time to have a conversation tonight because she has done some wonderful things. So, years ago, she was elected to serve on the board of county commissioners for Wyandotte County. And she also served the Kansas City, Kansas School Board of Education for about 9 years. So, some of the things that she did while she was serving, especially children, was that she reduced the amount of homeless children in the Kansas City School District. And that is just amazing. She is a cultural competency expert, meaning that she offers trainings, she offers assistance to organizations who need to do some work around justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. She's an author, and I happen to have two of her books here. One of them is 10 Secret Powers of Successful Wise Women, which that is there. And then another very powerful book, she is the author of Grace Over Rape. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about the motivation behind both of those books. But she has a podcast that we'll share with you on tonight, and it's called Shades in Justice. She, of course, is a public speaker, doing group training and facilitation. I told y'all she's done a lot. She, again, provides human resources training to organizations around what she calls JEDI, which is Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. She has served as pastor of two different churches. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a stepmom, and she is a community advocate and volunteer for lots of things like domestic violence, the Mayor's Clergy Roundtable, on and on and on. But anyway, everybody, welcome to the stage, Dr. Evelyn Hill. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Janice Love. What a wonderful introduction. And I just so appreciate you inviting me to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, I have really enjoyed the last month. I could think that we've gotten to know each other. And every time I talk to you, I learn something new about you. But I think you are doing some great things in the community. But you're not only just working with community leaders. I know you have a passion for helping, especially women. So let's talk a little bit about your journey. Now, you told me that your mother passed at the age of 13, and you were the tallest one in your class. Kind of tell me a little bit of your backstory.
Yes, I was literally taller than my second grade teacher, which is a very unique testimony. But my mother was wonderful. She um, was an educator herself in that she had five girls and was very determined to get her master's degree and managed to do so by going back to school after she had her daughters, and she was a social worker. And so we learned a lot about determination and stick to itness from my mother. And then my dad was a entrepreneur who had several different businesses. So we learned a lot about the business world from my dad. So it was an unusual journey. It was very difficult losing my mother at the age of 13. That means she was not there for my first date. She was not
Mhm.
there when I graduated from high school. She was not there when I had my first baby. But I'm so glad I can say this on your show. We serve a God that is a mother to the motherless.
Yes, he
And
is.
I appreciate him so much for taking care of us. We did have a few stepmothers along the way. And I'm just grateful that God took care of us.
Praise God. So when you think back to when you became an adult and you began to try to find your way through life, you encountered a lot of challenges from the time you went off to school. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, ma'am. My dad at the time didn't really feel like going to college was the answer because he had never gone to college, and he just felt like if we did businesses, and he had successful businesses, he just felt like that was enough. And if I had stuck with dad and did what he said, I probably would have done a lot better than all my choices that I made. But I was able to graduate high school early. We were supposed to graduate in May, and I graduated in January. And then I worked from January to August. And then I rode a bus off to college in Livingstone College in North Carolina.
Mm.
And at that particular time, it was a lot of civil unrest in
Mhm.
our community and across the country, but we managed to get through that. So, make a long story short, we came back home after 1 year being in college, and not long after that, I did get a job at a large organization, and then I got married at the age of 19. And if I had it to do over, I would finish college first. I would definitely not get married at 19.
Oh,
And
I understand.
so when you say lots of challenges, yes, I went through domestic violence, went through low self-esteem, went through um, just an incredible journey of depression, oppression. I remember one time asking God, why didn't you just make me a roach? So that way people can just step on me and it'd be over. I wouldn't have to just go through this over and over again. But I praise God, I'm not a roach. And God gave me a beautiful life since those days, and I learned a lot from it.
So I know in reading your book, especially the one where you talk about the 10 secrets for wise women, you talked about the fact that you wanted some life changes for all the things that you had experienced and the things that were causing depression and really tearing you down. What was that? Did you have a moment where you said something's got to change?
I did. It reminds me of a movie that J Lo, Jennifer
Mhm.
Lopez, played in called "Enough Is Enough," and
All
that's
right.
kind of I hit that moment in my life, and I decided to go back to school. My kids were getting a little bit older at this time. I think one may have been in middle school, and the other one in elementary school. And I just decided, okay, I'm going back to school. I need to make more money so I can take care of my family.
Mhm.
And so that's what I did. So I went back to school. I got my associate's degree at Kansas Community College, went on from there, got a bachelor's degree from Mid-American Nazarene College, and then I got both a master's and doctorate degree from Faith Bible College. And from then, man, it gave me the confidence to make some positive changes in my life. And from just going to school, just hearing other people say positive things to me, because I was used to all the negativity that was
Mm.
being thrown my way from an individual. But at this season in my life, more and more positive things begin to happen. And I was able to step out on faith, not knowing where I was stepping, but just stepping out on faith that God was going to do some miraculous things. And sure enough, He did. I was able to, I went into surgery. I was very sick from the stress that I was under.
Mm.
So I had surgery, and then I lived with my sister for a while. And after that, I was able to purchase my own home. I purchased a brand new car. And I remember crying in this brand new house because I didn't have furniture. And then I felt the Spirit of the Lord say, if I can get you a brand new house, surely I'm going to get you furniture, Evelyn. Sure enough, my house was filled with furniture in no time. So God has been so faithful to me. I needed
Wow.
to do more than just talk about making changes.
Mhm.
I had to step out on faith and do it.
And so it sounds like education really opened some doors for you. Once you got that momentum going, you started
Yes.
going for it. You start going for it, and you kept going until you got terminal degrees. And so I can see how the Lord just really opened doors for you. But let's make that shift. So you began working, and suddenly your people are talking to you about being on the school board. Is it because you were so strong about education? You were so passionate about it? Tell us how how that door even opened up for you.
That's an amazing question. I had a couple of people who approached me about running for office, and which surprised me because I had never run for office before. And they said, "You know, you can do it. You got it's such and such a time. You got 30 minutes. You can get down there right now and sign up for it." Again, I just take a step of faith. I go sign up to be a candidate to be on the Board of Education. And gosh, within a few months, they had the election, and there I was. I was on the Board of Education. Totally a step of faith. And God aligned me with different people to help me along the way.
Mhm.
It's an amazing journey to step out on faith because you don't, it's like, okay, who is going to help me? Where am I? And all of it just fell into place by the grace of God.
So was there a time you thought about talking yourself out of it?
All the time, the whole entire time. It's like, what are you doing? You don't belong here, you know. So yeah, the entire time. And then once I was actually elected to be on the Board of Education, was such a learning curve. It was so much to learn. It was almost overwhelming. But I realized that if God could get me here,
Mhm.
He's going to equip me the rest of the way. He's going to allow me time to learn and then to make an impact. And that's
So
exactly
you
what
did
happened.
a full 9 years on the school board. Board of
Yes,
Education, a full 9 years,
yes. It's
and right at the
actually,
time you were president, right?
yeah, it was actually two terms,
Okay.
and then they changed some term things where you instead of being in July, it ended in December. So it was that next January I was actually out of that election cycle. So, but yeah, at least two terms, which is 8 years, and they just changed some things statewide that made it look longer.
Well, that
Yes,
8 years is a long time, and it sounds
it's a
like you
long
did some
time.
amazing things in there. So, so you were doing some work around homelessness, and I guess I didn't realize the numbers until I was looking at some of the data that you had provided on your website. I didn't
Mhm.
realize there was such a huge number of homeless children in the district.
Yes, we were shocked too when I first started that journey. I had started working for a nonprofit organization, and that organization, along with the mayor and other city leaders, once finding out about the homeless families in the school district, decided we're going to do something. We're going to make this a county-wide or at least a city-wide effort to decrease homelessness in the KCK area. And so we began to work with the homeless liaison at the school district, and then it expanded to other school districts here in the county, and even in later years over on the Missouri side on reducing homelessness for these families. It was eye opening, and we went to several other cities, even in the state, and found the same thing. We just had no clue it was so many families. If they weren't homeless, they was on the verge of homelessness, and so
Wow.
we were able to work together to decrease those numbers. And I applaud that organization for the work that they, were able to do, and to help so many families.
Well, you have a fan club out there. We have Miss Tina Richardson, who said she was my board president in KCK, and Dr. Evelyn Hill is wonderful. And again, from reading all of the things you did, again, I was just so impressed by your bio, and not just again just the fact that you were able to list all these things, but you actually. Again, you're not one to just talk about doing something. You jump right in there and go right to work, and until you make a difference. Now, we have been talking before about something shifted in you back during the pandemic after the George Floyd murder. Let's talk a little bit about what shifted in your mind and what led you down a different path.
Well, I'm just going to be real candid. At that particular time, I was diagnosed with uh, something that just kind of made me aware that, life isn't promised to you.
Mhm.
You're not promised that even tomorrow you'll be here. So
Right.
if you're going to make a difference, you better get moving on it today. So when George Floyd was killed, and then um, several other individuals were killed in various parts of our country, it raised an alarm in my system. It's like, okay, what can I do? What can I do to make a difference? It's COVID, it's 2020. You're not supposed to leave the house except to go get groceries. Uh,
Hmm.
I couldn't go to work. I mean, I work from home. Everything was just. Even when I went and had surgery, my husband had to sit in the parking lot. He couldn't even come in. No relatives could go. I mean, it was just a really strange season in
Hmm.
my life, and in the life of our country. So I was praying and asking God, well, what could I do? What could I do different? So not long after that, the mayor at that particular time invited me to be a part of the mayor's task force for police and community relations. And so that's when I got into that. And then not long after that, I co-founded the Justice and Equity Coalition and began to work with the police department at that time on trying to change some policies that would help decrease the deaths caused by police and constituents here in our community. And we were able to get that done, and we were able to get other things done here in the community, and some things we were not successful at doing. But uh, the intent was, we the community want to make a difference in our community. If we can decrease cause de-escalation instead of
Hmm.
escalation, when folks are pulled over to the side for a light being out on their vehicle. That's what we wanted to do. So that's kind of what happened. I had this shift go on that I needed to do more than just talk about it. How can I get into the police? We literally went and met with the police chief. We
Hmm.
literally went and met with other organizations that we thought were oppressive to our community members. So that gives you a little bit of a bird's eye view of what was going on in my head.
Okay. Did you get a lot of pushback when you started this whole coalition?
Um, Not a whole lot of
Hmm.
pushback. A lot of people, didn't really believe, we could get a whole lot of stuff
Hmm.
done, but at least they were willing to listen. And the whole the coalition started online. We would do
Mm-hmm.
virtual meetings, and I would do little clips of what happened across the country. This one was killed, or that one was killed, and how can we not do that in Wyandotte County, or how can we improve? And so it got people's attention, and we were able to just take it from there. And different ones decided they would help on different committees to help us get the job done.
Wonderful. If you had not stepped up to the plate and not, because it was easy for all of us to complain about what was going on, but you took it to the next level and said, I'm going to do something about it. And as I was looking through your book and you talked about some of the personal changes that you just decided to make in your life. And you mentioned in chapter 2 of your book, which is 10 Secret Powers of Successful Wise Women, you talk about the power of focus. And you described focus as, what was it? Follow one course until successful. And as you looked at your life, it sounds like you took one thing at a time, whether it was your health, whether it was relationships, whether it was work. It sounds like you took those things one at a time and said, I'm going to quit talking about it and I'm just going to do it. And you were very focused. So let's talk about how women can make changes in their lives. And I know you're very passionate about ministering to women. You actually work with women who are, was it homeless women? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I work for an organization now, and part of what we do there is work with these women who now have an opportunity to change their lives. And sometimes it requires a different mindset.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're so torn from what has happened. They're so embarrassed from what has been happened. Some are running for their lives. Others are just devastated that they've had to live on the street or live in the car or live
Hmm.
with other members in the family. They just need a voice, a word of encouragement. And that's where we are able to help them and help them focus also on, okay, what do you want to do now? And this is beyond the case manager. They
Right.
already have a case manager. So I'm this second voice that says, hey, you can do this, and congratulations, you got this far. You had enough stuff going wrong. A lot of people would have gave up by now, but you are here. So that's a great opportunity for me, and that's what I really love, is being able to encourage others.
I love it. I love it. Now you have a podcast that I was strolling through it, looking at some of the conversations that you had, and anything related to equity and justice, you are on it. You you
Well,
are on it.
Well, thank you. I really enjoy doing the podcast because I try to bring awareness
Hmm.
to what's happening both in our community and in our country, or maybe even our state. And so I've had some wonderful guests over the last 2 or 3 years that have given us good information and inspired us to even do more. And we've seen some positive changes over the years, especially here in Kansas City, Kansas. And so it's been an exciting journey to just bring awareness about justice. We often we're so busy. It's so much stuff out
Hmm.
there. So it's hard to really focus in on justice. And
Hmm.
so it's my honor and my privilege, because it is a requirement for God uh, when it comes to justice. He is a God of
Hmm.
justice.
Hmm. So I'm going to show everybody your podcast here. It's called Shades in Justice, and
Mhm.
let's see, it's available on all these different places. Where's it available at, Dr. Hill?
Yes, you can always go on my YouTube page, Dr. Evelyn Hill YouTube, or you can go in Shades and Justice, either one, and you can grab it there. I'm also on a couple of other channels that I'm not sure where they're at right now, but those two you can always catch me on.
Okay, so we titled this from talk to action,
Mhm.
And a lot of the experts out so-called experts out there say that you should always, talk about what you're going to do and put it out there and that kind of thing, but you take it to the next level and say, look, don't talk about it, just do it. Because oftentimes what will happen is if we set goals, we often either might talk ourselves out of it because of fear. It leads to procrastination. So you're saying, like Nike, just do it. Don't sit and talk about it. If you're wanting to get healthier, just do it. If you're wanting to get your finances together, just do it. Quit talking about it and start doing it. Now, you do also talk about the fact that there are times when people do need accountability partners, which I know that you actually provide services to women who are wanting to be, all that God wants them to be, also to live out their purpose and
Mhm.
to make the changes in their life. Let's talk about some of the work that you do with women.
Oh yeah. The I love what you said, the accountability piece, because I was at a point, of course, with the financial situation. I had to make some adjustments, some changes. I had to figure out how to pay stuff off. I mean,
Mhm,
I just had to do it.
mhm,
Uh, I had been to several classes, and classes are great, but at the end of the class, you still have to do the
mhm,
work.
mhm,
And so that's what I had to learn. And so that's what I try to encourage women to do, is do the work. When it comes to writing a book, when it comes to making changes on your job, when it comes to uh, just about anything, you have to do the work. You have to study what's going on and then just do it. There's some situations right now that I'm involved in, and it just looks insurmountable. Sometimes
mhm,
it looks like the David and Goliath
mhm,
scenario, but that's okay. You just take it one step at a time and still do it. And so I want to encourage women wherever they're at in their life. Uh, they do have purpose. This is a great opportunity that God has given you. Sure, it may be hard, but you
mhm.
can do it. Just don't give up.
Yeah, I love how you use examples of women who we know as famous, and you talk about some of the experiences they had and how they made it through, how they made up in their minds that they were going to change. Like you talked about, is it Cicely Tyson? You mentioned some stuff that Oprah has gone through, and
Mhm,
even in your book, your very powerful book, called Grace Over Rape, where you
mhm,
talk about, women who have experienced rape of some type,
mhm,
and and how they can make it through, how
mhm.
they can learn to forgive, how they can deal with it. Talk a little bit about, why did you write this book in the first place?
So I was doing a whole bunch of podcasts on the injustices that women have encountered.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so many of my guests had been victims around rape or molestation and so forth and so on. Just blew me away. And so at that time, one of my mentors who were talking to me said, "You know what? You could just write a book about this." And we tried to come up with some titles, and I said, "How about grace over rape?" Because we always talk about grace and how grace is sufficient,
Hmm.
but we don't connect that with rape. We never connect that
Hmm.
away. So this gave me that opportunity. And when we see all the famous people who have encountered rape and did not allow that to stop them, they moved
Hmm.
forward. These are women who didn't just wallow in self-pity and
Hmm.
victimization, but move from victim to victor, and to conquerors, and now are just brilliant women doing the purposes of God. It's awesome that we have this opportunity to share that.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it sounds like you're working on a new book, right? You got another
Yes,
one coming out, right? I love it.
yes,
I love how you're writing these books. I'm a book nerd, and so I love reading and hearing people's stories. And I guess that's really why I do this show, because I love hearing everybody's stories. But you have a new book coming out. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let me show it. Tell us a little bit
yes.
about this book.
So, Voices of Women Unleashed in Justice. This is a book where we have several authors who are sharing their stories of injustice, or sharing their stories where they are focusing on embetterment for women or empowerment for
Hmm.
women. So we have those who have one of the authors' mother had been uh, imported, taken from the home, and she didn't
Mm,
see her mother again for a while. We have others whose mother and dad were out the home, so they were adopted by an aunt, and the aunt's boyfriend repeatedly
mm,
molested them while they between the ages of 8 and 12. We have another lady who comments on, he just kept beating me and beating me and beating me upside
mm,
my head. And I thought I was going to die. And I heard the door open, according to what she wrote. And she said she thought when the door opened, it was her son, but it wasn't. It was the police. She had
mm.
empowered
Wow.
her son to call the police if you see mommy's in trouble.
Oh,
And
wow.
so these are stories that are just phenomenal. Brave women who are no longer victims, but they are victors and conquerors of the negativity that has happened in their past.
Praise God. And so this was your idea to pull all these women together?
Yes, this
Mhm.
was. I didn't, again, I didn't know what I was doing. Or I just stepped out on faith. I had seen a couple of others do
Mhm,
this, and I had participated in other anthologies,
mhm.
but nobody was talking about justice.
Okay.
And so that's where I wanted to come in and talk
I
about
love
justice.
it. When is this book gonna be released? Let me show it again.
It should be released within the next month. We're having a soft launch in the middle of July, like the 21st, 19th through the 21st. And then we'll have the hard launch in person on the 26th. We're having a reception for the authors here in Kansas City, Kansas. And then on the 27th of July, we'll have the hard launch here at the Cider Hills Family Orchard. So we're really excited about that.
All right. So as you can see, I have her website information up here. So if you want to find her, I encourage you to go to her website, and you can find her podcast there, as well as learn about some of the things that she's doing. This woman does not let any grass grow under her feet. And if it's about justice, if it's about helping women and children, or even about education, she is on it. So you definitely want to follow her to see what she is doing. So, Dr. Hill, what would you want to leave for our audience today when it comes to when we talk about to go from talk to action? What would you leave with our audience today?
Always remember the old saying, talk is cheap. So it takes more than just talk. You gotta do it. You have to do it. And it'll inspire others. It'll encourage others. I've watched many women just do it. One being my sisters. They talk just for a little bit. Next thing you know, they're doing it. And I'm
Mhm.
of my sisters, I'm the oldest, but my sisters are pioneers in many different arenas, and they have definitely inspired me. And so, Dr. Love, I sure appreciate you allowing me to be on your platform. And evidently, you're a sister that's doing it. You getting it done too. And so, thank you again for being so kind to include me in your podcast.
No, I could not wait. Again, as soon as I connected with you and we had a few conversations, I was like, she is going to be on my show because you are doing some amazing things. And again, you're so humble about it. you're just doing again what you feel like God has led you to do. He has blessed you to come through some things and you just want to make a difference for other people. So I appreciate you stepping out there, and you obviously had a good foundation. Your mother started that, and then you picked it up being the oldest and have carried it on to your sisters, and I'm sure you are empowering women, or even in the work you're doing with the commissioners. Again, I've never really known a commissioner, and I wasn't sure, what this is going to be like, but I love it. I love it, and I just look forward to just having many more conversations with you. And if there's anything I can help with, definitely let me know. I know at some point I'll be on your podcast, but if there's anything I can do to help you along your journey, let me know.
Yes, ma'am, I will. And thank you again.
All right, so everyone, we have been here for Asking for a Sister Friend. We have been talking with Dr. Evelyn Hill about From Talk to Action. Now, each time I have a guest on the show, I end with this scripture. It says, people learn from one another just as iron sharpens iron. Proverbs 27:17 from the Good News Translation. And I can definitely say, Dr. Hill, you have sharpened my iron. And you've even put a little fire into me about, there's lots of things that I am doing that I talk about doing or I start doing, but I am going to finish what I got started, and I am going to just do it all because you have encouraged me. I might have to get out some more books too because, yeah, I, I love writing, and you are doing it, so I love it. I love it. So everyone, if I'm not sure if we have any questions out there. We have a lot of compliments, wonderful, some amens. I love it. So people have been very, very encouraged by what you have shared with us today.